Welcome to the Hardcore MBA podcast with your host, Erlend, Bakke.
Hello and welcome to Hardcore MBA. Today it is all about selling. Now I just came back from a long weekend trip exploring the British countryside of Cornwall, went to the Eden Project, and then we sort of skimmied up, went to Bath, had a bath in Bath, had a rooftop bath. It's all about bathing in Bath, and it was great. It was a really relaxing time. I wasn't hustling, I wasn't working, I was enjoying my freedom. And today had an early morning meeting with my managers. And the month of April is the best so far this year. Actually, a record month ever in one of my companies. So I'm very, very happy. And why did we make that happen? Well, because we made more sales. So today on the call we have Michael J. Ringer, who is a sales expert. He lives and breathes selling. And we were talking earlier about what does really a business need? Well, it always needs more sales. And a lot of people struggle in getting started in business, and they're really sort of going, they get turned off by rejection and they stop selling and they kind of give up. And Michael is here today to talk about how he helps entrepreneurs and companies take their sales to the next level. He is a speaker, sales trainer, startup mentor, and a business mentor. Welcome to the call.
Hi, thanks for having me.
So, have you always been a salesman?
I have. Everyone's always a salesman. Whether they want to admit it or not, everyone's always a salesman. Everything's a sale, right? You're selling your family, your kids to your friends. You're selling your great weekend in Bath, for example, to everyone, right? Because Bath is awesome, by the way. I'm sold. I'm going next week now. But yeah, everyone's a salesperson. Everyone's always a salesperson. It's just whether you realize it or not, still makes no difference. You're always selling. And it doesn't matter where you are. It's a key thing. It's a key ability. Everyone, if you don't know it, you have to learn it. Full stop.
So who do you sort of idolize as the best salesperson ever in the whole wide world?
Oh, Jordan Belfort, without a shadow of a doubt. Jordan Belfort, because obviously, he made a lot of money very immorally to start with before he went to prison. If anyone doesn't know Wolf of Wall Street, you've been living under a rock. But yeah, Jordan Belfort, he came out of prison. He set up a business. I think in his first day, he went out by himself, door to door, selling mortgage advice. Made like 80 grand in like one day. That's an incredible salesman under any person's circumstances. So yeah, he's still someone that I idolize as the best salesperson, I would say, in the world.
So was that after the sort of 2007 crash where he went out and started selling mortgage help? Yeah.
Oh yeah, which is obviously a good time to run into it as well, right?
So he has this ability of identifying a problem and then solving it for people. So obviously in 2008, sort of, if he was going out then selling help with people that are going bankrupt, they're desperate, right? They're desperate for help. And he identified that and then went out and said, I can help you with this.
Yeah, 100%. There was a problem which he saw quite clearly. And this is, if you're getting started in business, you have to know your problem or the problem that you solve and how you solve it. So he went a slightly different way. Rather than B2C, he actually went business to business. So he was knocking on business doors rather than anyone else, which was actually quite a smart idea. Don't leave the little fish.
So can you take us, take a moment just to introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about yourself personally?
Yeah, sure. So my name's Michael John Ringer. I'm an internationally recognised sales trainer, part of the National Association of Experts, Speakers and Writers. Always difficult to say that. I own 2 businesses. I co-own 3, own equity in 5. So I'm also a business mentor, startup mentor, and a motivational speaker on top of the sales training. So keeps me busy. But yeah, on that sort of business level, that's what I do. Personal level, I guess my number one goal, aside from business this year, is just to help 6 million people. So big task, but getting there slowly but surely.
Well, you will be reaching thousands through this interview, so that's helping you towards the 6 million.
I'm counting each and every single one of you, counting everyone.
So, what are you currently working on that really inspires you?
At the moment, that goal in particular, it just gets me out of bed in the morning with like an enthusiasm, with like a passion, and just ready to go for the day, rather than just stay in bed, because it's really hard. It's really hard. I don't know about most people, but if you're in bed, still tired, you've gone to sleep at maybe 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. Yesterday it was about 3, I think, for me. And then to get up at say 7 or 8 o'clock, you have to just go. You have to get up, you have to go, and you have to do it with this passion, ready for the day. So for me, the helping 6 million people and asking nothing for it as well. I don't ask anything for it, but that is really inspiring me at the moment. It's really inspiring me, and it's always at the forefront of my mind. How can I help more people? How can I do this? How can I grow that number that I've got at the moment? So that's what's really keeping me going at the moment.
Do you want to hear my trick of getting up in the morning?
Yes.
Okay.
Tell me.
So before I go to bed, I say to myself, when I wake up tomorrow morning, I'm going to start counting from 10 and then down, and then I have to get up before I get to 0.
Yeah.
So I'm already then pre-programming myself to get up by starting to count from 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5. And it works, it really, really works. Not always. I would say about 8 out of 10 times. But it's a pretty good, it does something with your brain in terms of like programming it to just move.
Yeah, I mean, it's self-discipline.
Yeah.
Self-discipline. And I don't know about you. What do you think of this? I feel that every entrepreneur or business person has to be self-disciplined. You have to be.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Tony Robbins says discipline equals freedom.
Yeah.
So a lot of people start a business because they want more freedom. And it's definitely something that I've had to learn. I would say I'm much more disciplined now than I was sort of 8 years ago when I started out. It's also a parallel to people like other entrepreneurs. Like a lot of entrepreneurs have done some either sort of hardcore military training, or they've done martial arts, or they've done something like some kind of sport competitively, because that's a sort of discipline thing. And then when they start a business, they bring in that psychology into business. But that absolutely discipline is very, very important.
Yeah, I mean it's just a mind game. It's just a mind game, because your mind will always revert back to whatever's easiest naturally. But in fact, actually, another quote that you might like, Jim Rohn, actually, he once said, we have to suffer one of two pains in life, either the pain of discipline or the pain of regret. I like that one. That one's always stuck with me. I
always tend to think that success in business is very sort of counterintuitive.
Yeah.
One is you got to give first. Like you got to give a free talk. You got to give something for free. It doesn't matter what it is, but typically you do something first, and then not all people will then buy from you, but the likelihood of people buying from you is incredibly high, because you've now added value first, and then you get some value back.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I do you know what? To talk about that as well, I actually wrote a whole article on LinkedIn about this a couple of weeks ago. Everyone has this mindset of give to get in the first place. Just give to give, and don't expect 100% of those people at that seminar, at that free talk, on your webinars. It doesn't matter whatever it is. Just give to give value, provide value in these people's lives, and then you might get something back for it, or you might not. But I feel that a lot of people, when they do give to get, they just get let down and depressed really, really, really quickly. Really, really quickly. So I would say give first, but just give to get, give to give rather than giving to get.
Absolutely. And there's three types of people. You got the takers, you got the matchers, and you got the givers.
Yeah.
And I actually think that the world is divided into like the lower class are typically takers, and the middle class are typically matchers. So like I'll go to work as long as you pay me.
Yeah.
Right. And then you have like the sort of the rich people of the world. They're like, I'm just going to add massive value and we'll make money somehow.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's kind of how I view the world. So I try to be a giver. It's not always easy, you know. My brain goes, hey man, I should be getting something for this.
Man, I just gave you information that should easily be worth $5,000. Why am I not getting anything for this?
Right. Yeah.
100%. And what you were saying as well. I mean, for example, Bill Gates. Bill Gates didn't set out to become one of the world's richest men. You know, he set out with one goal, which was purely just to cure, quote unquote, poverty in Africa. That was his goal. And of course, to do that, you have to have a lot of money, right? So, you know, he set out to do that goal and obviously made a hell of a lot of money from doing it. But
is that how he started?
Yeah, that was always his main goal since he was, I think, 12 or 13.
Seriously? Wow.
Yeah.
I did not know that. That's a real nugget.
Yeah, real nugget. It surprised me that not many people know, given like how large of a guy he is, you know. But you know, he's one of the biggest philanthropists after Carl. What's his name? Telephone guy, richest man on the planet now. Forget his name. Mexican.
Oh, I don't know. I don't know his name.
Forget it.
I don't read the rich list, man.
No.
Maybe I should.
We just make our ways there.
Yeah. It's climbing. So why do you do what you do?
I just love it. I love it. And do you know what? It's for me. It's, you know, because it wasn't the easiest of childhood. I can say that much. But you know, for me, I'm doing everything that I'm doing because I feel that I have to be in a place in 5, 10, 15 years time. You know, I have to be where I envision myself to be. And to do that, and just the same as everyone else really wants a nice house, really wants to make an impact on the planet. But like everyone else just seems to be sitting on their ass and just doing nothing about it. You know, it's just a goal. A goal is always a goal until you implement the to-do list to get to the goal. You know, so for me, it's all about just getting to that end goal of leaving that legacy. I'm a legacy guy.
Why is legacy important to you?
Legacy is important because, you know, you can't take anything with you. You know, as I can't remember who said this, but this has always stuck with me. Life's kind of like Monopoly, right? Like players come, players go, but there's one thing that will remain, and that's that no one can take the money with you. Like the money, all of the hotels, everything that you've accumulated in life, doesn't matter what it is, you have to leave it all behind and you have to move on. You know, so for me, it's less about what I'm taking with me rather than just what I'm leaving behind, because that's the only thing that you can do, you know. So for me, it's about leaving as much behind as I can. You know, I don't want to like die with, you know, even $100,000 in the bank account. I don't want to die with that. You know, I prefer to die with zero, or even in debt, just to screw over some of the banks.
So when you mean legacy, it's not really an ego thing. Like I want to be remembered, or I want to be, remembered for thousands of years. It's more about that what you've created is adding value after you've gone.
Yeah, absolutely. Because, you know, there's you know, I'm only going to be here for a set time. I'm only going to be, you know, I've got this thing, you know, hashtag TikTok, because, yeah, I don't like. I'm only here for a certain time. If I'm not doing something productive with that time, or something that like provides value to other people in some way, then I feel so unaccomplished, man. I feel so unaccomplished. So I always have to be doing something. I'm working towards it, because otherwise I'm just wasting time. And time to me is the biggest currency.
What kind of daily habits do you have that support that goal?
You know what? I'm really big on goals, but I will write down my goals probably 2 or 3 times a day. So first thing in the morning, last thing at night, and the one that surprises people is whenever something goes wrong, right? Now, whenever something goes wrong, you should write down your goals, because your goals should be like the things that really excite you as well, I feel, and rather than just like paying off your mortgage, for example. That's just boring, right? No one's ever going to wake up in the morning on a Monday morning and be like, yeah, let's go pay off my mortgage today. Yeah, come on, man. So whenever something goes wrong, I'll also write down my goals, because then I'm just like reinvigorated. I'm like, right, okay, that's why I'm doing this. All right, fine, bit of pain. Now let's go. So that I would say has really helped me, and just doing one thing at a time. I don't multitask. I think multitasking is a load of nonsense. One thing at a time. Just
And it
get it
stresses you
done.
out.
Yeah, it really stresses you out. Like, just focus on the task at hand and whatever you can do now with what you've got, and then work your way out. If you can't do it, for example, one of my clients at the moment, he's looking to employ 2 or 3 people, but he just can't afford it right now. Just can't afford it because his expenditure is just through the roof. So he's just focusing on a long-term goal, but thinking he's going to be able to achieve it in the short term. It's just like, be self-aware and be real with your goals and where you're actually at. If your business is turning over 100K and you're having to take, I don't know, 70K of that for your mortgage, your family, your kids, and doing the things in life that you want to do, then obviously you're left with 30K profit, which is barely enough to pay anyone a salary.
Yeah, but then you need an accountant, you need expenses to go to seminars, you need to buy some books. I mean, I'm just coming up with expenses here. So 30,000, that's expenses. That's just...
Yeah. It's just stuff, right? It's just stuff money.
So this is actually the case for a lot of entrepreneurs, I think, or people starting out, is like, okay, so you're making 70K, but if you actually took 30K and then you paid somebody else 40K, then you could pay yourself 70K the next year.
Yeah.
And that's the whole delayed gratification thing. But so one of the things that I talk to entrepreneurs about is like, the first step is typically always simplification and elimination of your lifestyle. Like, so if you can't get any more time, so what are you going to do? Well, you got to eliminate the things that are sort of time wasters, and that goes for like people and activities and habits and all that. And then you have more time to do more things. So what's the right thing to do? Let's use the example of, like, you're making £100,000 a year. You need 70,000. You desperately want to have more salespeople. What is the right way to do that? Because I think this is actually something that I look upon in my business as well. It's like, oh, if I had another salesperson, we could increase X amount, etc. How do you do that?
I would say that there's 2 different ways about going about it, and I would say both are just as effective as each other. And really they are. And this is it's not a new concept, but it's just being done right now. A company called Commission Crowd that I work really closely with, actually. Again, counterintuitively, because they're kind of like a competitor of sales training, which is sales outsourcing. So outsourcing your sales for a commission-only sales agent who's already got the experience, already got the contacts, already got the people that you need there, and that network of potential clients. Go and get yourself a commission-only sales agent. And this is actually one way that I'm really seeing the industry go at the moment, because too many people, I would say, undervalue training, like sales training and training your people, which I would say would be the other thing that you should do. So everyone's trying to keep the costs low, of course, which is really important as a startup, and trying to keep, obviously, profit as high as possible, because that's just business, right?
That's business.
There's business. But
cost low, profits high.
Yeah,
Cheap, sell high. That's how you do it.
Damn right. Damn right. But yeah, I mean, like it's just you like find yourself a commission only sales agent. Commission Crowd, for example, they're like an online platform. They're brilliant. Just commissioncrowd.com, I think, is their address. Just check them out.
Yeah, I was
Check
checking them out now
time.
actually. Um,
Yeah,
so it's like the future of work, isn't it? I
yeah,
mean, people are. I mean, we're slowly sort of moving there, but like this whole on-demand way of working, and we're
yeah.
seeing it in Uber. We're seeing it now in sales. We're seeing it. My company, Mr. Outsource, we're an on-demand freelance agency. So
Yeah.
all you do is just go to the website, you put in a request, and then you speak to your project manager through Slack, and then we say, oh, it's $500, and then you pay us, and then we do the work. And it's
Yeah.
like, and the people that work for us, they're like on demand. So they say, oh yeah, I can work this week, and then we give them lots of work, and then they log off.
Mhm.
And it's a really interesting how this is changing. But you also have a commission based company. Tell us about how you guys work.
So I mean, for me, we almost actually stem off of Commission Crowd as well, which is one reason I think it's so great because as a sales trainer, obviously, and being in sales for as long as I have been, nearly a decade, it's just you know a lot of good salespeople, right? So I go to all of my good sales guys, and I'm like, hey, look, there's tons of money that you're leaving on the table. Look at all of these companies and all of these opportunities that are on this platform. Do you want to do that one? Yeah, okay, cool, fine. You do that, and then I'll take a cut of whatever you're doing because I will help and support you, and I'll give you the leads, I'll give you whatever you need, and my contacts, my network as well, so that you can go and leverage that particular opportunity, whether it's, let's say, for your company, for example, or someone else's. It's let me support and help my team, and then I'll just get a cut of it. They can take the majority. I don't mind because I'm not doing the work. It's just free money to me. So yeah, so companies would and have in the past come to me directly and said, look, this is what we want. This is what we're looking for. This is our product. This is our service. But for me, it's more about, right, are you a good company to work with? Do you have a good opportunity? Is it going to be worthwhile for my guys to be selling your stuff rather than what they're selling now? How much are they making right now? 150 grand, or how much would they be making with you? Probably about 80. So sorry, thanks, but no thanks. But I would say it's really important to actually be selective with your business, if you're even at the start or not. I really would. I'd say it's genuinely selective on a B2B perspective. I'd say just be selective, because you don't want clients that are, again, like you were saying, those time wasting opportunities. Because a lot of your clients, and this is one thing that people miss, clients can also be just as bad as those negative people in your life, right? That you have to get rid of. That you're always told, get rid of the negative people in your life, get rid of the losers in your life. Some of your clients are those too. I got rid of about about a quarter of my clients a couple of weeks ago, because they're just not doing it. They're not worth the
It's
time.
interesting, like the meeting I had before this call. So we lost a client. Well, we didn't lose. We kind of fired them a little bit before Christmas, and they were like £40,000 a year. So pretty okay client. And the CEO is just like, she's just all over the place. And this was actually my first client when I started out as an entrepreneur, and we've had the client for like 8 years. Right? It's always gone really well, and we had a great relationship. And then she took over as CEO like 2 years ago, and she's so disorganized, right? Yeah. And then when the job that we were doing got messed up, then we got the blame.
Okay.
And I just wasn't okay with getting the blame, because I know that we'd been working with them for so long. Mm-hmm. So I actually, instead of sort of doing a sort of surrender and admitting, which I often do, to say, like, oh, I'm so sorry, well, of course we'll do this better. Let's look at what we can do better next time. Mm-hmm. Instead of that, I just said, you know what? This is not on us. This is on you. If you want to work with us in the future, these are the new prices, and here's the criteria. And if you can meet those, then we can work together next time. And she was like, I'm not interested in these terms. We're going to use somebody else. And I was like, cool, sure. But the funny thing is, like, they now sent us more work this this week. So I don't know why, but anyway.
But people do that because it's almost like a fear of loss. Particularly if you have a client that's been with you 8 years, 4 years, they already know you and they already know the business. They know how good you guys normally are. I mean, one time out of 8 years. I mean, come on, man. Like, is that really like? So they've got what's called a fear of loss, right? And they're just like, oh, okay, yeah, new terms and everything else, but there's no one else who is going to be as good as you guys. So we're going to come back, and everyone should have that kind of a service behind the sales as well, because they are like sort of yin and yang, if you want. It's as important, because if you have great sales but terrible service, it's not really going to go so far as it can. You have to have both intertwined at all times.
There's always that dynamic, though, isn't it? Like, the sales guys will be like, really like, oh, let's, because I notice that, because I sell for my companies always. And I'll be like really excited about, we got this massive client. And then the head of production is like, hey, man.
This. I don't care. We just got to deal with it. Like, the deal's closed. Deal with it.
Yeah. But there's some friction there sometimes, I believe. Yeah. Because the salespeople, we're always interested in sort of getting more business in, and then the production are like, oh, things are working smoothly now. That means we got to buy more computers, we got to expand, we got to train people. Yeah.
I think one way, and I feel that this is quite a big problem for a lot of businesses, that I would say the one way to get rid of that problem and to really make that into a positive dynamic rather than a negative one is just to make sure that like business, as with anything else, as a relationship, as a family, it doesn't matter. Like, communicate internally. I'm not talking going and having like a board meeting or whatever, just like open discussion, just like, actually, hey, like, we've got like 100 clients at the moment, we're full-time servicing, let's say 50 of them. How much more of this can we take before we need new employees? And like, everyone should know targets and should know the goals and should know the threshold of when, like, okay, if we get this big client, then we're going to have another team member. The business is going to grow. Freaking awesome. Because then it also encourages that teamwork towards it, and then everyone has a group goal as well. Everyone's working towards the same goal, rather than it just being so broken. And everyone just being very sort of lone wolf, which I find is a big thing in sales. The top guy always tends to be very egotistical, very lone wolf, go out, kill him for himself type of thing, rather than a team. It's a sales team for a reason.
So just going to segue to another question here. Because in sales, dealing with rejection is obviously a big thing for people that are starting out, especially. What do you do when life hits you in the head with a brick? So, like, let's say you lose your biggest client, or what's your way of dealing with diversity? Not diversity, adversity.
Adversity.
Yeah.
And
diversity.
Adversity. Oh, well, I'm going to steal that now. I mean, the whole thing, and I think that the definition really, obviously not the dictionary definition, but for me, the definition of an entrepreneur is a freaking problem solver. There's a problem, go and solve it. It doesn't matter, like, everyone's so emotionally attached to their business rather than seeing it as, okay, it's a business, it might go right if I work hard and if I know what I'm doing, or it might go wrong. Like, there's this whole thing, and in fact, Gary Vee actually speaks about this a lot. There's this whole thing about glorified entrepreneurship, like, it's so great and it's so this, that. Like, but trust me, honestly, the business world will come and not only just dash you with a brick over the head, it's going to come with a house and freaking slam it on your head a few times. But, that's a problem. If you have a problem, if you lose your biggest client, like, you would be worried about that only because you don't have more clients in the pipeline, right? Like, that would be the problem. So, like, for me, I always try and preempt any problem that I'm going to have in my business but life-wise as well, because there's always problems outside of business.
I think there's a quote which is something like, "What can go wrong will go wrong."
Will go wrong. Yeah,
So,
I don't necessarily believe. I mean, I find, again, like an entrepreneur, and tell me what you think of this as well, right? See, I find that as an entrepreneur, it's one thing to expect things to go wrong, and it's another thing just to prepare. Don't expect, like I would always say, prepare for things to go wrong. Don't expect it.
yeah,
Don't expect it. Just
totally
prepare.
agree.
Have such a solid foundation for your business. Have such a solid mental state as well for your business and as a person, that when you do get hit with a house over your head, that you're prepared for it. You're prepared.
Yeah, because you don't want to be living in this sort of state of fear where you're like constantly like, ooh, what if I lose this client, and what if this happens, and what if that happens? You can't live there, because then you'll not survive. So I totally agree with you. Like, work in a sort of preparatory way. Ask yourself, like, okay, what are we doing in terms of this? Like, what's our plan for that? So that I think another good metaphor is icebergs. Like, what are the icebergs in your business? And then how can you sort of mentally prepare for that? But that's very sort of I think it's in 7 Habits. You got like the 4 quadrants, and this is very sort of productive work, but it's like long-term thinking, right? And you can only get there if you have highly automated, delegated your business, so you can spend more time there.
I would say, as if you're running a business, which I would say is any level, whether it's startup, SME, corporate, mid business, or like wherever you're at, you should spend quite a lot of time on strategy until it's so like ridiculously clear, until you can go to sleep and wake up at night and know, right, this is the target, this is the goal, rather, because if you're just like shooting without goals, without that preparation, whatever you hit is just going to be whatever you call the target, rather than having a target, shooting for that target, getting it. If you're just shooting around everywhere, whatever you hit is your target, So
I still have this though. Like, I'll like pick up the Sunday Times, or I'll go to a business networking event, or I'll read about something, and I get really excited about real estate, or I get really excited about some new technology or some new industry, and I think it's different. Like, I still struggle to sort of stay on track sometimes, and as a sort of creative entrepreneur, I kind of have this need also to sort of look what's out there and experiment and learn. But then I do sort of dedicate a certain amount of hours every day to the core stuff that I know works. But I think I need to be out there looking for new things. But it's so how do you, especially people starting out that maybe don't have the proof. So let's say you start a business and you don't have any sales, then you may start sort of trying different things and going different directions because you lack confidence. Like, people that don't have confidence, they will be easily distracted and go to try different things. But people are very confident about their strategy; they can stick to it. So, how can we sort of help people that are starting out, that are not confident that what they're doing is the exact right idea? How can we help them stay on track?
I'll be straight and honest. If you're not confident, don't even freaking start. Just do yourself a favor. Just don't start. And I know that sounds harsh. But I'm saying it because I know so many of my friends who've started in business just because it's business and it's great and it's glorified. But don't start if you're not confident in yourself, in your abilities to do it. But if you want to start and you're not 100% confident on perhaps the business, but you're confident in yourself, I would say the thing to do in that scenario is just get a mentor. Go and find someone who knows what they're talking about, who knows what to do in your business area. For like, if let's say that you're setting up an e-commerce store, go and find someone who set up a successful e-commerce store and ask for their help. and give them like, and one thing that I would say as well, just give people equity. Like and this really annoys me, particularly in London, right? There's this thing about everyone's really tight. Everyone's really tight, particularly when it comes to your business.
It's so expensive here, man.
It's just, oh man, like I can't even go out to drink. I can't, like, dude, give it away. Just, it's fine. Because look, it doesn't matter, because whether it's 10%, like 10% of 1,000 is, or 10% of a mil, for example, is way better than 100% of zero. Make, just give it away. Give it away, because like these people, like mentors, people who know what they're talking about, are going to come and provide you with so much ridiculous value that you can't miss that. You can't miss that. Like, and if you don't know what you're doing, yes, you can go the long way about it. And I know, because I've done it personally, but you can go the long way about it of failing and failing and failing and failing, of overspending on Facebook ads, on doing the wrong kind of ads here on Google, of just, you will do everything wrong that you possibly can when you start out. Like, I honestly, I promise you, pretty much everything.
That comes from, lack of experience.
Yeah.
And then that digs away on your confidence. So, I mean, when I started out, I was incredibly confident.
Yeah.
And then as time went on, and I kept on sort of failing and trying and failing and trying and failing. And I didn't realize, like, okay, because I think I was 27 at the time. I didn't realize, I've got another sort of 40 years in business, or maybe 50 if I want to. But I was I needed things fast and urgently and all that. But it did seriously dig away at my confidence.
Yeah,
and
it does. It does as well, because failure is, particularly if you're not like prepared for it, if you're not ready for it, failure will like screw you over big time.
Yeah.
Like massively.
What are some of the failures that you've had that have been the hardest to get over?
For me, honestly, the hardest ones have been having to just say, right, okay, this business is just not working. Let me move on to a different one. Like,
and that's hard. That's really hard.
That's tough. That has been, and I've done that. I've done that a few times. I think I've done that 3 times now. 3 times. But what I've learned from doing that, and I would say
my own failures. I think I've got about 3 or 4.
Yeah, and it's tough, right? It is tough. And what I would genuinely say to anyone that's setting up in business is, although it feels like it's your baby, although you can treat it like as such, it's not a baby. It's a freaking business. All right. Don't get emotionally attached. Because you have to be logical and like, you just go for it. But like, love what you do, and I'm not by any means saying to like just set up businesses for setting up businesses' sake. Like, I do that because I love business. I just set up a business if I see that there's a potential for something. I'll be like, that's good, we'll do that. We'll set up that. Like one of those, for example, one of my failures was a business called Roughly, which was it was an e-commerce store, which actually at the start went really, really well. But very soon after, it just dropped off. This store was for dog products. It was just like dog collars.
Yeah.
Outsourced like the shipping and everything else to China, drop shipping, bang, done. But like, when you've set up a business and it takes so much time and energy and design and implementation and yada yada, it's really hard to say bye to that. Really, really hard. But you have to. Because again, TikTok.
Yeah.
It's all time. It's all time that you're wasting.
Yeah. I had an e-commerce store.
What was yours then?
We did. It was called The Stash, which was all about like selling accessories. So all the things that you didn't have to try on, like sunglasses and wallets and like all that sort of accessories for humans. Yeah. But the failure of that was actually, I started with started that business with a good friend, and I sort of convinced myself. This is actually the second time I did it with a business partner, and I convinced myself that I could change him. I could sort of, because I was so strong, I could lead the company in a good way, and he would follow my lead. But he actually turned out to be, a bit of a psychopath, actually. Which I'm not sure how common is to find. It's said that 1 out of 10 people are psychopaths, but he was a bit scary, actually. So we
1 out of 10 normal people, but I read this statistic, and I genuinely I can't remember where I read this about a week or two ago, and it's 1 in 4. So a quarter of all entrepreneurs and business people are psychopaths.
Really?
Yeah, that's a ridiculously high amount.
You know why?
So bear this in mind. Because we're controlling, man. We're control freaks.
Mm-hmm. But it's also a power game.
Yeah.
It's because, like, as an entrepreneur, you actually have power, and psychopaths love power. So I'm actually reading this book for the first time called 48 Rules of Power, Robert Greene. And it's a book I bought 6 years ago, but I haven't picked it up, and I still struggle to read it because it's all about sort of power, psychopathic power games, really.
Yeah.
And it talks about how to play the game. It's a bit like the book The Game by Neil Strauss as well. I mean, these power, you can use them, but I ultimately think it won't really deep down make you very happy. But it's good to know the game. That's why I'm reading it.
This is the thing, again with sales, for example, because when you know as many sort of neuro-linguistic programming techniques, like for example, if I'm speaking to someone and I'm like, oh yeah, and by now you would realize this, and with emphasis on the by now. Like just one example, like you can use anything in sales on a seriously technical level. You can use it to manipulate and to do everything else. And I teach people, yes, you can do that, but I'm huge on moral selling. Huge on moral selling. Because
how do you successfully do that? I was reading an article yesterday that a friend of mine posted about how unethical the sort of selling from stage guru industry is.
I think that's all.
And I was like, yeah, but you. When it comes to people, you're sort of competing with somebody going to Vegas and blowing $20,000, or they can spend $20,000 on a self-improvement program. And Vegas is using the same techniques for selling as most of the companies out there. And the guru is doing the same because he realizes he or she is competing against the money going towards Vegas. You're not competing against other gurus. You're also competing about everybody else selling something, really.
Yeah. You just compete about everything. Like this is the thing, when like a lot of the time, I don't know about you, but people come up to me and they're just like, oh, okay, so who's your competition? I'm just like, dude, everyone's my competition. Everyone is the competition. The banks are the competition. Apple is the competition. Everything is your competition, because if the money's not going to you and your business, then trust me, it'll go somewhere else. It'll go somewhere else. And like for me, I prefer that the money came to me so that I could actually train people and help them to develop their business.
Right.
But again, that's just me personally, morally. Some people don't care. Like I used to work as a fine wine investment broker, actually, which again, that was like scam. Cold calling for investments of up to, I think the biggest one I closed was about 500 grand, and like the people just wouldn't see the money there. But if you're just in it for the money, like there are tons of ways to do it, but it's just do it morally. I've got a massive thing about morals, massive thing.
The problem with the sort of immoral way of selling is that it's very short term, so you don't get a lot of repeat business. Plus, in today's world, like reputation is it's much easier to destroy it than it was before, right? So if you are, let's say you sell something and people actually go online and start writing crap about you, people love to read about crap. it's dangerous if you are immoral now as well.
Yeah, 100%. And Warren Buffett said, I think it takes 20 years to build a reputation, only 20 seconds to destroy it. And that is so true. Yeah, it's so true, because you slip up, you do something that is just very unprofessional, very immoral. If you screw someone over, you just consider yourself ruined. Like, for me, the amount of work and ethic, 15, 16, 17 hour days plus sometimes. I don't have to, but because I work on 2 businesses and the other 3 that I co-own, and then all of the ones that I'm advising as well, whilst doing the motivational speaking and the philanthropy stuff, like, yeah, man, like it is exhausting, but you have to just do things the right way and do it morally, because doing all of that will build up a reputation for me being a hard worker, right? Which it has. But at the same time, if I like ruin that by deciding not to turn up at a speaking event that I'm booked for, let's say at the school, for example, or a corporate event, or let's say that one of my sales training clients doesn't double their revenue, for example, as a startup, or whatever it may be. If you promise something and under deliver that, you're screwed.
Mm-hmm.
You're screwed.
Mm-hmm.
Over promise, over deliver.
How do you talking about speaking gigs? How do you actually get speaking gigs? What's your strategy for that in terms of using your sales techniques? Not techniques, that sounds bad. How do you get speaking gigs?
Well, for me, it's a lot of the time people will just approach me, or if I go to an event. In fact, one of them was London Startup Marketing. I was speaking there a couple of weeks ago. If I go to a really good event where there was some good speakers, or there were some speakers which were like okay, I'll just say that check me out, and then let me know if you want to book me in. Like, I'll do it just for free. Yeah. Because it's all branding, right? It's all branding, and it's all develops your personal standpoint. I mean, this year I've probably spoken about close to 20, maybe 30 times, like, already. But you just either go and find the event organizer if you want to go down that route, or build a big enough social presence. It's like, I'm killing it on Periscope, man. I'm killing it on Periscope right now. But build a strong enough social presence that people will then say, actually, hey, can we fly you out to Sweden, for example? This is one thing that I was asked. I was asked last month, can we fly you out to Sweden? I own a business. I would love for you to come in, and rather than train my sales guys, we'd just love to have you come in to everyone and just motivate us all. I'm like, all right, cool. Pay for my flight, then yeah, happy. Pay for my flight, pay for the accommodation, fine. And of course, but I would say either build a strong presence or go and ask. You don't ask, you don't get. Like, seriously.
Yeah. Yeah.
Particularly when you're starting out. I had to always ask people. Just like, hey, I really enjoyed your event. Can I speak as well? Can I provide value? Here's what I do. Here's what I've done in the past. Here's my credibility. You interested?
Sure.
Yeah. Just like, what's going on? But no, yeah, ask.
Okay.
Ask.
So in terms of software, so there's a lot of sales software out there. What do you use? What do you recommend for small businesses?
I'll be honest, I just use pen and paper. Like, I'm old school. Like, I find CRMs and everything else, it's there for disorganized people, in my opinion. Like, just in my opinion. Like, I'll use my phone, and that's it. I'll use my phone, I'll use some paper and a pen. So, like, straight and simple. That's just me. That's just how I work. But I would say for website building, if I'm going to build another e-commerce site, which I've been thinking about, I'd use at the moment either Shopify or BigCommerce. Both of them are really awesome. Shopify or BigCommerce. Website wise, I would just I just use Wix, man. I think Wix is just so easy.
Wix is
WIX,
Okay.
for just personal websites. It's just so easy. Anyway, like I showed a client Wix on when was it, Sunday night. By Monday morning, she had possibly the second most beautiful website I've ever seen. It's ridiculous. WIX. It's awesome. So easy. It's just drag, drop, click, right click, change the design, make this transparent, make this effects here. This is awesome, man. So and for email, I've got some of the businesses are on Gmail. I've got some on Outlook. I've got some on even GoDaddy. I actually use GoDaddy email as well. But for me, it's just I don't mind having it all in different places because it all goes through to one place, which is my phone. And normally I'm out because I'm normally doing something productive. So it all comes through to my phone. So like pen, paper, that's it for me.
Yeah. No, I talked to this a friend of mine, really famous salesperson in Norway, and I was like, "What software do you use?" And he's like, "Excel."
Yep.
Yep.
It's like we just call, man. Like because it's less about this. I think for real honest salespeople, it's just like, okay, you need to keep a track of it.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, you'll call someone, you set up a meeting, and it like goes into fairyland.
Yeah.
But you don't, like, other than that, it's just keep track of what you said to who you've said. If you've closed someone, when are they going to pay? Are they going to pay tonight, 7 p.m? Are they going to pay tomorrow? Are they going to close on Friday? Are they going to close in the next 5 minutes? When are they going to pay? Like things like that. I find, me personally, I'll write them down. And then if that client then hasn't paid, I'll just follow up. Hey man, haven't paid. What's up?
It's interesting with to-do lists as well. Like I actually, just talking about software, so I use the reminders on my phone.
Yeah.
And as a to-do, I'll just like write things down, but that's more like a brain dump. But like on any given day, I will get up and I'll use a pen and paper and I will write down like what's in my head. I might review the to-do list, but I will write down like the sort of 1% of tasks that will give me 99% of the result.
Yep.
And then I do those first, right? And then if I'm bored, I can go and look at my 1,000 things on my to-do list that are nice to do.
Yeah. Or you have to see. For me, like I split like goals up into two different parts, which is goals, like crazy thing that excites me, like helping 6 million people, like leaving behind a legacy, or building my business to 50, 60, 100 employees next year, for example. But that's the goal. That should seriously excite you to the level where you're like, oh my God, man, I can't wait for this. And then you have the boring to-do list, which is like the tedious, mundane, like, okay, fine, now I have to get up, now I have to go and approach this person, I have to go and speak to this business, I have to go to a recruitment agency, I have to check out these CVs, or I have to hire someone to check out these CVs.
Yeah.
That's the boring stuff that you have to do. But knowing that all of that boring stuff is going to get you somewhere, like you don't really mind doing it,
Yeah.
Like that's one way that I always keep myself like on track. Like everyone's always like, like, how do you always do so much stuff? I'm like, because I always know where I'm going. Like I'm going there. I'm like, that's my goal, and that's where I'm going. Because everything gets you there.
Yeah. What is your favorite book on selling?
Oh, favorite book on sales. That's a great question. Do you know what I would say it's as much about selling as it is about business. Think and Grow Rich, Napoleon Hill. Book's my Bible, man. Okay. I love that book.
Okay.
So much. Think and Grow Rich, Napoleon Hill. If anyone hasn't read that still, read it 5 times.
I think that's one of the books that I read a little bit of every year. I don't read the whole thing, but I'll review it. And I agree with you. It's a very, very good book. Very helpful.
It's a real classic. It's a really and I find for me at least personally, it fits in so much with all of my morals as well, with what I'm trying to do and what I'm trying to change the perspective of the sales industry. 2, that book really fits in for me. So that's one reason.
So you mentioned Jordan Belfort earlier, but what entrepreneur really inspires you? Is that still Jordan Belfort, or is it somebody else?
Oh, I would say there are honestly there's only a few entrepreneurs that really inspire me. One of them actually being a really close friend of mine, Vina V. She's like an online entrepreneur, YouTube specialist, owns created Tripod, did a few other bits and bobs. She inspires me. I'd say Cardone, love Cardone. Cardone trained by him, as well as Belfort. And Gary V. I think Gary V's a really good one. But I would say Mark Cuban, also great entrepreneur. And Bill Gates. I would say just the main ones. There's nothing really sort of hidden. But I would say you should be inspired also by yourself and where you're going to be in 5 years' time.
And where will you be in 3 years' time?
Oh, 3 years' time. That's a good question. See, I would be 3 years' time. I would like to be still at the head, as in like we are all pushing together, of two or three businesses. See, I like to build business, sell it, but now I've sort of moved on from that aspect of business. I now what I like to do is just set up a business, set up and keep it going, because the keeping it going part I find is actually the most difficult. Personally, what do you think?
That's a good question. I think previously my goal was like build and sell. I think I would still be interested in selling if it was the right company and the right person. Not that it's necessarily only an emotional decision, but I think I would care about where they would want to take the business. I wouldn't sort of get them to buy it and then take all the clients and then fire all the staff, for instance. I wouldn't like that.
No.
But if they were saying, oh, this company fits perfectly with our future, blah, 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 this is the vision that we have for it, and I would see myself as part of it for like 3 years, then I would consider it. But it's not an end goal for me. I find it fascinating sort of building up sort of a cash generating entity. I've been reading a book by Robert Kiyosaki called The Second Chance. And he writes about 3 levels of wealth, and it's like first level is tertiary wealth, which is like paper assets like money and stocks and bonds and all these things that don't really exist. And then the second level was primary wealth, which is like real estate, silver and gold, oil, like physical oil, not bonds of oil, but like actual oil.
Barrels.
Like a barrel. Here's my barrel of oil. You can buy it for $47. And then the third level is secondary wealth, which is like businesses. So I think we need to be invested in all, but the secondary wealth is where you can really make a lot of money fast, and I just like having cash flow from companies. It seems to be a lot more profitable than real estate. Like real estate is such a slow horse. I mean, it's so slow.
And you also have to bear in mind inflation as well. And the thing is with real estate as well, the one thing that I love about business actually is you get back what you put in. You know, if you're sitting around and you're not doing anything, then of course your business isn't going to go anywhere, right? But with real estate, for example, I mean, yeah, you can go ahead, you can refurb, you can turn it into an HMO, you can do this, that, the other with it. But it's not really going to increase the value immediately by a ridiculous amount. You know, it's going to, of course it's going to increase, but it's over time. It's a real long game. Yeah. Real long game.
Let's talk about appearance. Right now you're wearing, a cool vest and a shirt, and you got your silk, what do you call it? Handkerchief. Looking very dapper. I am going to the gym, so I'm wearing a red gym thing. How important is sort of dress to impress, would you say, in terms of selling? Or can you just sort of do your thing and that will still be acceptable? Because before, Buckminster Fuller, the sort of inventor, he used to dress really wacky because he wanted to be futuristic. But then he has actually started just wearing a black suit with a black tie because he didn't want to be judged on his appearance. Because he was out there selling the future, so they didn't want to think he was more accepted if he wore a black suit. In 2016, how important is it to sort of dress to impress, or is it sort of just dress whatever you want? What's your opinion?
Like me personally, I would just say that, dude, just dress how you want. I want to dress in a suit because it, like, when I put on a suit, and I literally every single day, I didn't wear a suit or haven't worn a suit for one day this year so far. I was actually in, I was going to Karuna, not seeing the Northern Lights, close to sort of your way. But even there, I was wearing a suit. You know, but really? I don't dress to impress. I dress for me because it puts me in a particular mindset. You know, if you're just running around in tracksuit bottoms, you know, whether or not you like it is beside the point. But you know, you will get judged. You will get judged. You know, and I hear so many people just, you know, moaning and just whining about this. Just, oh, I'm judged all the time. Yeah. That's life. That's just part of the game. Play the game, man. Play the game.
Yeah.
You know, but for me, it's just dressing how I want to put me in a particular mindset.
Yeah, I've been doing so. I have a sort of Steve Jobs approach to it, like black shirt, dark blue jeans, and I wear a special type of trainers, and that's my kit. That's what I've been wearing like consistently for like 4 years. Yeah. But I have been thinking about suiting up recently. Maybe it's London, maybe it's all the sort of London sort of, feel. But I do think that it's cool. You know, it's cool to wear a suit, and I also think maybe psychologically it would maybe change a little bit about, you know, if I was today I'm working from home. It doesn't feel right to sit at home and work in a suit. I'd probably, you know, go to an office every day instead. Psychologically, it does, subconsciously, it does sort of change, you know, maybe how you stand and how you sit and how you speak to people and how people approach you and how you're treated in a store. Like if you wear a suit and you go to look at, you know, if you go to Gucci and you're wearing a nice suit, you'll be treated really, really well. If you wear a tracksuit, you won't be let in the door.
Yeah.
So.
You know, it's true though. It is true. You know, but like whether or not people like it is again, it's beside the frigging point. Like people judge people. Unfortunately, it's just the way humans are. We judge.
Yeah.
You know, you don't like it. Well, fine. Just fine. Tough luck. It's gonna happen anyway, dude. So you know, I would like. I again would just say that just do you. Like, don't try and copy anyone else's style. Don't try and like. Yeah, sure. I mean, like, if you like what someone else is wearing, like, if you like it because you think that would suit you and you think that would be nice for you, then yeah, go ahead and do it. But me personally, I would just say that just do you. Whether it's a business relationship, just stop following and just do your own thing, man. Like I've been wearing suits every single day since I was like, I say every single day, not quite literally, but most days since I was like 16.
Really?
Yeah, not quite to this level. But, you know, I just wear suits, man. I just wear suits.
That's cool. So, favorite suit brand?
Oh, I must admit, I like a lot of tailors. I do like a lot of tailors on Savile Row.
Okay.
I would say if people can't get tailored, go get a suit from, I don't know, Top Man or Next or something, and then go to a tailor, go to a dry cleaners, for example. I know a lot of dry cleaners do this actually. A friend told me the other day, and then just get your suits tailored. Get because it's not so much about the material or anything else. It's just about the fit. If it fits you well, if it's cut nicely, just like that's what matters.
Yeah.
I would say, as like from a fashion perspective. Last thing I thought we would be talking about this morning, but from a fashion perspective, yeah, just make sure it's cut well.
Cool. Some good advice. So if you've been enjoying this episode, where can we get more information about you, Michael? Where do we go? lionSalesTraining.co.uk, or what's the best place?
Yeah.
So what do you have to offer us as a special thing today?
Special thing today, I am going to. In fact, I'm gonna set up a 78% off code actually for my online training at lionsalstraining.co.uk. What should we call it? Let's call it Hardcore MBA. Hardcore MBA.
Let's do it.
Is going to be the coupon code. 78% off. So that takes my online training to, normally it's $451, takes it down to about $99, I think.
And what is that training all about? Can you tell us a bit about it?
Absolutely. So that's all about learning how to sell efficiently, and, like as we were saying, how to do it morally and effectively. And it's also about your mindset as well. You know, like I really go quite deep into the mindset part, because a lot of sales is, you know, it's just a brain game, you know. So I go quite deep into that, the introduction, pitch, tonality, body language. You know, there's so many different parts, so many different aspects of it. So that's I'll do that for you. See, if you don't ask though, you don't get, right?
Exactly.
You don't get. And
so that is lionsalstraining.co.uk/hardcore MBA in one word, and you can get this great sales training at 78% off.
Yeah. And if you want to find out more about me personally, then go to michaeljrea.co.uk or thesalesbooster.co.uk. There's so many websites, it's unbelievable.
Fantastic. Guys, this has been amazing. Thank you so much for being on the show. Lots of cool insights, very good chat, good banter, as you would say in the UK. And if you enjoyed this episode, please go to iTunes and write a review. It helps us reach a broader audience and, you know, keep on bringing on guests, adding that value to you and the world. So, you know, writing a review takes you about 3 minutes. It helps us massively. So, and maybe watch another episode. Thank you, Michael, for being on the show. Appreciate it. And I hope to meet you soon.
This podcast is brought to you by MrOutsource.com. Outsourcing to the Philippines done for you. Mr. Outsource is a recruitment company matching busy entrepreneurs with Filipino virtual assistants, so you can have the time to focus on what's important.